Hello everyone and welcome to the BTS Europe semi-finals. We're here with Na'Vi versus Vega Squadron, best of three. One of these two teams will make it through the grand finals. It is a single elimination bracket. The other semi-final later today will be Team No Logic Gaming taking on the Fantastic Five. It's been mostly a CIS domination here in the BTS Europe, but we've got No Logic Gaming looking to rep the Western European countries. But here we go, Na'Vi versus Vega. Let's talk draft. I'm GoDz. Joining me is Scant. We've been casting some Chinese Dota lately, Scant. Are you ready for a change of pace?
Yeah, definitely. And that first pick, Chen, what a place to start off the change of pace. Typical for, I think, a CIS on CIS match. Are No Logic Gaming Western European? Sorry, just to go back.
Their current roster right now, good question. In the past, they've had
they've changed quite a lot.
Yeah, in the past, it was the team like with Pika and stuff. I'm not actually sure their exact roster right now.
I think they have Excalibur, and I think everyone else is pretty much like from the Balkans in that team.
Okay, so it's still like Mitch and stuff playing on that team.
And yeah, I think so.
Let me see, I have it up. So it's Mitch, Excalibur, Milan. They have a Swedish player called Zeroji. And then a guy from, it looks like Israel, I believe the flag is, called the Coon. So,
interesting.
Not entirely sure about him, but he's playing the offlane. So that'll be later on today. That's the next best of three. Na'Vi versus Vega right now, and it's a pretty different draft to what we were seeing from the Chinese LAN that we're casting.
Yeah, definitely. I tried to check on Data what these two teams have been doing in the patch, but unfortunately both of them don't have any ticketed games. Navi's only actually played in this tournament, and Vegas played this tournament, plus they played in the MDL qualifier, where they got knocked out. I think it was by Virtus Pro, who themselves ended up being knocked out. So there's been a bit of a shake-up in the CIS scene, actually, because the MDL qualifier was won by Team Spirit, who knocked out Elements, who knocked out Virtus Pro, knocked out Vega. I think so does, like, Team Spirits and Elements have kind of like jumped ahead of those the conventional top teams. So I'm not really clear on who's meant to be the stronger teams here. Like Vega Squadron from the big events of the year, definitely, to me, I feel like they were very unlucky that they didn't make top 8 at the Frankfurt Major. I mean, they beat OG twice. They were the only team to beat OG, and they beat them in 2 series, and yet they still didn't make top 8. It's bad luck, right?
Yeah. And even in the winner bracket, they had like some very close, tough, and tightly contested series. So I feel like they were the one team who didn't finish in the top 8 who you look at and it's like, if they had a slightly different bracket, maybe things would have been different. So for Vega, it's unfortunate because it probably means they're not going to be invited to the next major, but there's still a team who you look at and think this team is one of the kind of top European teams right now.
Yeah, so something interesting, even though Navi's had a roster change since then, the recent times these teams have clashed with each other was one in the ESL qualifier, which Vega actually knocked out Navi and ended up winning ESL, not just the qualifier. Before that, they played in the TI5 qualifier, and Navi actually beat Vega twice in the group stage and in the elimination there, and that's the reason Vega had to play at the play-in series, because Navi had beaten them then. Again, a little bit unlucky, I feel, because I honestly think that even back then it was quite clear that Vega was a stronger team than Na'Vi, but there's something about the matchup. I actually think that there's this trade-off in Vega Squadron that as they've developed as a team, they've gotten better at not just being kind of pure traditional CIS Dota, similar to Virtus Pro, more calculated Dota, but in some respects it weakens them when they're playing in their home turf against the other CIS teams, because sometimes I think they just fail to keep up with the pace of the other CIS teams. Obviously, they haven't actually played against this version of Na'Vi, which has 3 completely new players since the last time they faced each other. But I think it's an interesting challenge for Vega today to see if, how well they can play their own traditional Dota compared to the Dota that they've developed into playing so well.
Yeah, and they did get revenge on Na'Vi for that TI5 qualifier loss. The last time these teams met was in the ESL 1 qualifiers. And like you say, that was the old Na'Vi, so they haven't versed this current edition of the Na'Vi roster, so we'll kind of see. It feels like this is finally like the new era for Na'Vi. You've still got Dendi on the team, but other than that, it's a completely different team from the team that started the year in 2015. Artcell came back for TI5, now they're playing with Dichira, they're playing with Sinico, and they're playing with Axmo, so we'll see how this squad does here. Looking at the draft though, let's talk some of the picks and what we're seeing here. Vega Squadron, they've gone for a classic kind of no one hero for the mid lane with the Queen of Pain. They're going to pick up the Clockwork for the off lane. And Na'Vi with AA, Sand King, and Zeus. AA picked up as a pseudo counter pick for the Chen. Any kind of big things stand out for you as far as the picks and bans that we're seeing right here, Scant?
Well, I mean, Mag's going to be playing Clockwork, and he's like, I think he has the most official matches on Clockwork of any player, and for good reason. He's very good at the hero. As you said, Noah, and on his signature Queen of Pain. I guess what stands out to me is the Zeus, because I know that most professional players have very strong opinions on the Queen of Pain versus Zeus matchup. I've heard a lot of people say that that's just a lane that Zeus can't be in. Usually Zeus wants to stand kind of far back and arc, but if Queen of Pain can position correctly, get onto the enemy ramp and just harass the Shadow Strike, it can actually zone Zeus out of the range to even get those arcs sometimes. So
and it should be worse now, right? With the tower change in the mid lane being further away, shouldn't the lane actually get even worse for Zeus?
Yeah, it should. And so it's a lane that as you get higher levels, Zeus can actually threaten to burst Queen of Pain down, but right at the start there's just so much potential for Zeus to get nothing, and I assume Na'Vi have some kind of plan as they go later into the draft. Maybe it's part of why they picked the Earthshaker here as a hero to give some help to that lane, because I don't know, maybe Dandy just feels confident that he's got a way to approach the lane that he'll be fine with. But they're leaving Ditchara's pick to last, and it's interesting here that in the second phase we saw Na'Vi ban the Lycan, we saw Vega Squadron ban the Ember Spirits, and these are two of the three heroes that Ditchara's been playing a lot recently, the third one being Tiny. And I'm not too convinced if Tiny is the pick here.
Well, for Na'Vi, yeah, Tiny into, I guess, some of like the Clockwork and like the Chen with some actual burst heal, it gets a lot harder to play. So, is there anything that kind of stands out to you as like better options as far as DTR is concerned, with like playing into like the Clockwork as well as like the Chen potential 5-man death ball that Vega are putting together?
I really don't know. I mean, in some respects, Tiny's actually quite a good pick against that because it's got the nuke damage, can be relevant like even before scaling there. Other than the heroes that DTR has been playing recently, though, the Tiny and the Ember and the Lycan, I sort of like see him playing stuff like Anti-Mage, and like if you look at the lineup that Na'Vi have with like all magic damage, it does kind of set up for getting one of those really hard super farm late game carries. But as you say, like there's potential for Vega Squadron to apply a lot of pressure, and if you go for a hero that doesn't do enough with farm, I mean we've seen that story a few times in China recently with the Morphling picks, for example, and I think what Na'Vi will want is a hero that allows Ditchara to be interactive, but also, you know, scale extremely well. I think that's the kind of pick they're looking for.
Alright, well, last ban onto the Anti-Mage and the Sven. Na'Vi now going to have to pick up their DTR hero most likely here with the rest of their draft kind of pieced together. And Vega, they have last picks, so they get to kind of see what Na'Vi go for and can kind of adjust accordingly. If Na'Vi goes greedy, they can try and pressure it, or if they feel like they can get away with it, they can go for something a bit greedier of their own for the safe lane farming role.
It's interesting they still ban. It's interesting they still ban the Anti-Mage, even though they're like looking to apply pressure. And I'm just wondering, do you think that that's like they're leaving the option open that they could go for the last pick Wraith King? Because right now I don't think Navi's that well kitted to deal with the Wraith King.
I've always found that despite how Chen drafts can apply pressure, Anti-Mages in the past have done fairly well against them, just because the laning stage goes well, because you're not really at risk of getting dual lane. You know you're going to get that like good 12 to 13 minute battle fury. Chen has no catch for the Anti-Mage, so despite like the Chen drafts looking to kind of group up Death Ball, Anti-Mage as a split pusher forces heroes to TP back, slows down the push. So in some indirect way, despite Anti-Mage being a greedy pick, I actually think it works pretty well against Chen drafts, which is maybe what Vega are thinking with the ban onto the Anti-Mage.
It's also the lane stage, right? Because we saw CTY's Anti-Mage just kept doing well in like having good lane matchups, and Chen actually, even though it applies early pressure, isn't really good at going into the aggressive lane right at the start. We used to see that like 2-3 years ago, but it's very rare to see heroes jungling in the enemy jungle these days.
Yeah. Well, Vega now last pick coming up. They see Spectre, so now's the time to get something a bit more aggressive. And as far as actually push goes, they're actually kind of lacking. Chen's like the only really hero that you kind of put into that kind of group there. So if they want something that can push break towers, it's got to come from this last pick. Something like a Luna kind of comes to mind, but even that maybe comes with its risks. So we'll see what Vega are going to go for.
Someone has just messaged me saying that you aren't on in Dota TV.
Oh, thank you for that. Let me quickly fix that. My apologies. As we'll quickly make sure everything's working there okay. Right.
Finish off with the gyrocopter actually, so Not gonna be Wraith King, anything like that, but it's I mean it's in some ways it's a similar story because this is a game where if Gyrocopter gets BKB, all of a sudden there's very little that can stop him. That's kind of like the critical mass for this Vega Squadron draft. So we talk about grouping up, applying pressure. I think when Gyro gets BKB, probably after S and Y, Navi are gonna either be ready to, take down the back lines in those fights or hit their AoE combo, which, I mean, they have an insane AoE combo, actually. A global combo. I say AoE, but it's like long range fissure, Ice Blast, Zeus ulti, Spectre ulti, and Sand King, if, let's say, ends up getting an Aghanims, it's like the whole freaking team is global. So that's certainly what they've got going for themselves. But yeah, I think they're going to have to deal with the Gyrocopter BKB timing. I think that's going to be like a very serious timing for Vega this game.
Okay, well, Vega now going to start with the early rotations. Clockwork TPs to the offlane. It will be Na'Vi running a support Sand King. Earthshaker going to be the offlaner for Axmo, so not sure if this what I don't recall if you mentioned anything. I don't know if this was what you were expecting, but I feel like we've seen more Sand Kings played kind of in that offlane role, like when it's being picked up. But yeah, it will be Suniko handling the 4-position Sand King this time around. Na'Vi now going to be looking just to get some early vision out. It will be a ward scouting out some of their movements towards top. Dichira won't be able to get up there in time to prevent any early lane wards. And here we go. The new dire side ward to contest this offlane is going to come out as Na'Vi plop that down at the Radiant Tier 1 top tower.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I was probably more expecting the offlane Sand King. It's what I've seen also. And also I was wondering about the mid lane, how Dandy was going to run the Zeus against the Queen of Pain, and Earthshaker had like an obvious way to help. But I suppose Sand King starting with the boots could possibly gank in as well and has an early smoke. And if you do make that early kill on the Queen of Pain, if you get like a level advantage, suddenly the lane becomes a lot easier for Zeus, I think. Because then Queen of Pain tries to come your side of the creep zone you and you just, blast her down.
And if Sand King's missing on the map, you're a lot probably more. I don't know. I guess it's similar to a Shaker. I think Sand King has a bit more of a kill threat if he's like sitting behind a tower, or at least it's similar to an Earthshaker. So we'll see Suneko probably lurking around helping Dendi when possible. It will be Zeus with a bounty rune, Queen of Pain with a bounty rune, so they're even as far as the mid lane's concerned there. And Dendi will get the fast bottle here against Queen of Pain. Pretty standard stuff as far as the mid matchup goes.
In the meantime, do you think either of these offlaners are going to get like especially large amounts of value? I mean, they're both heroes that can pull back the creeps, can affect the equilibrium, which is pretty important these days. But I guess both of them actually could get a bit of value because they're both actually.
You say that top lane Clockwork could be in trouble. They've rotated Sand King in. He's not going to quite be in Burrow Strike range though. So he made a move aggressively up there, but didn't quite make it there in time. The Radiant Ward, I believe, actually, yeah, that scouts it out. That's a really handy Radiant Ward to have to protect against that Sand King rotation, and they've missed the D Ward.
Yeah, and that's very significant these days, actually missing or hitting the D wards, and it's unfortunate. It's like something that's difficult to like keep mentioning each time something happens. Hey, that's related to the ward, but
top lane
just catches the Clockwork.
Yeah. And Clockwork will be giving up first blood here, I imagine. He's got a salve, but no real reason to use it when he's going to be going down anyways. He gets one last cogs off and gives first blood to the Ancient Apparition. Does what damage he can. His TP getting cancelled also, so that means he's going to be respawning without TP. Mid lane Dendi getting very low here. He's got a Shadow Strike on top of him. Is getting some Tenga regen now. And has the bottle charges, which he'll use kind of in between the Shadow Strike ticks where possible. It's 2 points in the Shadow Strike, looking for that lane dominance.
It's very interesting to me that the lane's actually been pushing towards Dandy's side, because you expect it naturally to push toward the Queen of Pain, which is usually what helps the Queen of Pain actually zone the Zeus. Because the Zeus has to arc with farm, and now it's actually coming into his tower.
Yeah.
But because it's happened at this stage, that's actually going to allow Dandy to secure a rune for himself, and I think he actually ends up being fine in this lane the way it started out.
Yeah, it feels like he actually intentionally waited for like around the 2-minute mark before he decided to push it out with the Arc Lightning. You see Queen of Pain getting low enough from the Arc Lightning spam. Was doing a pretty good job dodging the Arc bounces, but does end up going down. And now the Radiant side, they did not see the Invis Rune picked up. This Queen of Pain has to be very cautious here in the mid lane. Burrow Strike available, 1 point in the Lightning Bolt. And Chen looping around. I believe this could go backwards. No, they're going to go aggressive onto the Queen of Pain. There's an Arc, there's a Bolt. Can they get the kill? The Blink, I believe, got cancelled there by the Lightning Bolt. And Na'Vi walk away with a kill in the mid lane, Queen of Pain, going the way of Dendi as well.
it looked to me a bit like no one was still like planning to make the kill. You know, thinking
Yeah.
of tunnel visioned on Chen and we're going in and not really reacting appropriately to they've just gone on me.
I guess blinking towards the Chen is kind of blinking towards safety. He did seem like he wanted to blink forward. Maybe he was just going to try blink past and bypass everyone and force him back in the Chen. He immediately comes back mid. Shadow Strike onto Dendi with the blink, but this is just going to be harass onto the Zeus, who is bottle crowing though, as you'd kind of expect at this stage in the matchup. He'll have the bottle back for the 4-minute rune.
It's actually a good point. Like blinking forward, if you want to blink back, you have to turn around. It takes time. So sometimes if you like under imminent threat as Queen Pain, just blink the direction you're facing. Safest thing to do.
I think if not for the blink getting cancelled, it would have been. I don't know if he would have lived or not, but it looked like it was the right play to make to blink forward towards the Chen. Unfortunately, Lightning Bolt kind of ruined his day. So Chen already level 4. We're seeing a lot of just kind of farm time being given to the Chen of solo here. And the first smoke rotation unsuccessful, but it hasn't really slowed down the Chen in any ways. Dendi now, well, falling back to do some stacks of his own. Interesting little deviation in what he can do here. Perhaps worried about a Chen gank coming his way, which is why he's wanting to kind of spend some time off the lane.
Do you think that it might be worth... It's interesting, I was just wondering if Chen would go for Penitence this game. Like, the spell's been buffed so much, do you think it might be worth occasionally going for just the value point?
I want to say it is, just because, like you say, it's been buffed so much. Until I've really, like, played the hero, I can't really say for sure if it's like, oh, you've got to get this or not. But just based on the buffs, it seems like something you would want to get.
Yeah, but yeah, not going to get this time. And actually another smoke from the Chen. I don't know, is this a wraparound to bottle? Just straight onto Dendi, actually, in the mid lane. They want to try again.
Dendi should see it fairly soon. He's got the ward there, but he's already been ensnared up, and Queen of Pain should be able to secure this. The creep's taking the tower. Good execution from from Vega, and Navi's mid taken out there. Somewhat, pretty much unavoidable gank, I guess you could say. Bottom lane, meanwhile, they've gone on Sioma. Ayo, gonna get snowballed down here. That's Axmo, and he gets a fissure off. Doesn't have mana for the tome. Has the magic stick. He's gonna pop it. Gets one more totem off. Turns. Will he get the kill in Sioma? Almost able to get a second if he just perhaps had a bit more hit points to spare. Nice kind of retaliation from him, although he didn't get experience for the Tusk kill. Dendi actually gonna TP
Axmo's
bottom.
done... I feel like Axmo's done really, really well in this team since he joined it. Like, surprisingly so. Like, I knew about Ditchera, I knew the player very well, and kind of expected him to do well, but I didn't know a whole lot about Axmo, especially his recent career. And it seems like more common these days that the story of a team when they finally start hitting more success, it has to do with like their new offlane player that brings everything together. I can think of a lot of teams where like the offlaner ends up being like that crucial player to like either make or break the team's success.
At the same time, I feel like you can have like some great players who are hidden gems who are support or offlane players, but if they're playing on a team that's not doing that well or like not perhaps playing together as a team, they could look really bad. I feel like you know about Ditchera because if he's playing carry, or you've got a mid player, you can tell they're a good mid player, but you can't tell someone's like a great offlaner necessarily when they're playing poorly, when their team's playing poorly.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Well, speaking of Axmo, he's going to be chased down here, and I think he goes down.
Yep. Oh, Zeus, meanwhile, also getting taken down the bottom lane. Kills across the board. We saw the one at top lane, and we'll catch the end of the Shaker rotation. That's another Chen movement here. Solo already level 6 with Arcane Boots. This Chen has been very effective in the Radiant jungle. Perhaps the new patch, maybe we will see some of the return of these junglers here.
Yeah, and I spoke about how... I don't know, in the past, occasionally Vega looked like they weren't keeping up with the pace of teams like Na'Vi, but they're the ones setting the pace at the moment with their Chen. And I do like, as far as junglers are concerned in this patch, I think Chen's the kind of one you want to run, where it's not really, you're not just like farming an extra hero, it's a support that's going to be very active and affecting the game from the start.
I'm not going to come in and be a bit of a dick. He takes a Mud Golem last hit and will wander on his way. Bot lane, Gyrocopter level 7. This is a big threat to Na'Vi if Gyrocopter is able to rotate. Unfortunately right now for Pasha, he doesn't have the mana to kind of support a rotation. If he TPs anywhere, he won't really have much more than a single rocket barrage, so not exactly an ideal time for him to be thinking about TPing anywhere, but happy to stay in this bottom lane and continue to maintain his farm. But it looks like a smoke rotation coming his way, Sand King with the AA. They haven't smoked just yet. They'll back off, go in now. The lane ward possibly going to be bypassed as a result, and a fissure into a Biosite could spell the doom of the Gyrocopter. Sand King getting in close. They need the fissure. They're even going to hold. He's going to miss the fissure. Still likely to be a kill here. The cooldown is there. Pasha gets out of this one. And he will still go down here. Not the most well-executed gank from Na'Vi, but they get the job done. But here comes the counter initiations. Ice Shard, Snowball onto 2. Where's the backup damage? It's going to come from the chin. He gets an ensnare. There's going to be a Queen of Pain. Sonic Wave through the backlines. Gets 1 kill. Can they get the second? Sand King, Saniko the target. He's got no Burrow Strike, no Sandstorm, and no way out of this one. Tusk will get 1 kill. Na'Vi, I think lucky to get away with just 2 casualties there, given that the Queen of Pain rocked up with a Scream Sonic Wave.
But at the same time, it is on their execution, as you said. Like, if they had neatly gotten a gank off, the Fissure hits, the Burrow Strike hits, they could probably get the kill and get back on time. It's because they made a bit of a mess of it that Vega were actually able to capitalize and get the return kills.
Absolutely. And Na'Vi, I think, going to find their tier 1 bottom tower under siege now. Vega says, okay, we're grouped up back bottom lane. Gyrocopter's TP back in after dying. He's now got cooldown. He's got a full mana pool. Fighting into a Gyrocopter now, without Zeus ultimate, without Spectre ultimate, gets very difficult. And I don't think Na'Vi can really defend this one. They're going to TP down here, and it looks like they want to try. Ice Shards go flying out onto Dendi. If Vega really want, they could try and commit to this one. Clockwork's level 6, has a TP if he wants to come down here and join the fray, but for now it's Vega who are just going to back off a little bit and actually swing their attention towards top lane. This rotation scouted. We see the same Observer Ward planted for the second time by Na'Vi, this time around not being dewarded, and it will give Na'Vi the news they need that Sioma is in the top lane.
You gotta respect Na'Vi's early burst damage, I think, especially with the Ancient Apparition maxing Ice Vortex. Interesting that there was a stage where we saw Airs moving to maxing Cold Feet, but now they're back to mostly maxing Ice Vortex first, and certainly in a draft like this with the crazy magic damage burst, if you hit the Vortex, you can blow someone up, you can blow a few people up. Well,
shot top. Ancient Apparition going to be taken out here. Possible counter kill into the Clockwork, who will get Cold Feet under the tower. Saniko there with a Burrow Strike into Sandstorm. The Chen heal may be enough to save his life. The Snowball there. Saniko gets stunned up, and Clockwork, he's out of the tower aggro. He's now salved as well. Will it be enough damage with the dagger and the horn? The Ice Shards is good, but Dichira able to bypass it thanks to the Spectral Dagger movement, and now Sioma at top in a bit of danger until the Gyrocopter rotation comes. But again, that ward scouting it out, that Na'Vi ward up there has just prevented multiple deaths, I feel, with Gyrocopter's rotation being seen, and Dichira as well as Saniko able to back off because of it.
And I spoke about how that's actually going to be Ice Shards, and Dichira's going to have to use the dagger to get away. I spoke about how Navi's got a very important timing this game, where Vega get the BKB on Gyrocopter, but I'm actually thinking now they have a much earlier timing they're going to hit, and it's as soon as Oddstyle hits level 6. I feel like then, I mean, I did speak about the global potential, but I honestly think that like that first 5 minutes after Ancient Apparition gets level 6, if you hit big ultis with the Zeus ulti, with the Spectre ulti, like chances are Earthshake or Sand King will get something on someone, and it's almost like you've already won the fight. The response is the Chen, I guess, that's it. And Chen is pretty close to mech, but I think his heal's not enough. He needs to like hit heals before Ancient Apparition hits ulti, and he has to probably hit both of them, not just the ulti. So it's a tough game to be Chen if like you're the one who has to save people from the global power, but Ancient Apparition is level 6 now, so this is Na'Vi going for the smoke, and they're going to try and make use of the ulti.
And that's the thing, they have so much set up for the Ice Blast with the Fissure as well as the Burrow Strike that chances are Na'Vi are going to be able to land it. As long as they don't repeat the execution we saw bot lane. They've got vision of all these TPs up here. It looks like they do want to fight. They haven't got Haunt for 28 seconds here. Do they try and fight this one? AA very close having a smoke get popped. Saniko going to charge forward. It looks like they see Solo. They want him. They're going to snowball on down. That goes onto the AA. The Ice Blast not going to amount to too much. It does catch out too, but Na'Vi getting 2 kills to start the fight off. They're going to lose Zeus. Dandy on the back foot here. They catch Clockwork on the wrong side of the Fissure. They're going to move forward. The Burrow Strike Echo Slam. 3 for 2 trade in Na'Vi's favor. I think that's a trade they'll take, considering they blew up the Gyrocopter at the start of the fight and managed to only lose Zeus as far as important heroes go.
And I think, to be honest, I have a feeling that that was maybe a better position for Vega than what Na'Vi have to give them as the game progresses in the next few minutes, because of the nature of the global initiation power, there's no reason why Na'Vi has to initiate into like the entire Vega team. A lot of the time Vega's going to be split a bit, and then they're going to get even less. It's not going to be 3 for 2, it'll be like 3 for 1 or 3 for 0.
And that was just the kind of worst possible positioning for Na'Vi. They were in the river on the low ground, moving upwards, so Vega saw them coming with the Chen kind of popping the smoke. Dichira, Screamer's there. Blink over, no one's going to be careful. He's surrounded by 3 heroes here. He has a haste rune, and Dichira has backup nearby. Radiant Observer Ward in this jungle. And it looks like Na'Vi realized that's the case. They're trying to take it out with this sentry. They've got so much vision surrounding their jungle in this top lane, but Vega going to bypass it. They pop a smoke, and they're headed back top, looking to fight around some of those cooldowns perhaps, but it's just a Zeus and Earthshaker ulti on cooldown right now, and the Zeus one coming back up very, very soon. This top tier 1 tower, though, it's the target, and it's being taken down.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that the Earthshaker's mid and the Sand King spot, they're both showing on the map, and despite the fact that the other 3 heroes are the ones with the global power, I think that they need either Earthshaker or Sand King to be nearby to actually threaten initiating. So they're going to feel confident whenever they can see that Sand King and Earthshaker are somewhere else on the map.
Fortunately for Na'Vi, the sentry ward just out of detection from this Radiant Observer ward, and Solo will immediately take out an Obs plus sentry duo here.
Sand King's got his blink, he's going in.
Here we go, Blink, Bar Epicenter. If they hit this Ice Blast with a finish, that's going to be the death of the Gyrocopter. Chen, the heals. I believe he got maybe one of them off before the Ice Blast, but regardless of the heals, the Gyrocopter goes down. Nico going to be a casualty of war for Na'Vi, but the chase is on. Na'Vi want more. Ra pops a wand, trying to heal himself back up. The Sonic Wave off to the side. Queen of Pain gets 2, though, and it's even better from the Queen of Pain. They perhaps overcommitted onto the Gyrocopter, and Na'Vi going to pay the price. Ra on the run here, gets blinked on, screamed, Ice Shards there, he can go over this one, but the Snowball will follow him. Rocket Flare will catch up to him, and Sioma gets the punch! Throws him up in the air, secures a 4th kill, and Vega come out on top. What went wrong for Na'Vi there?
There's 2 things. Firstly, the Ice Blast gets used just for one hero, the hero that they try burst on at the start, and that means that Chen can make good value on both of his heals in the fight. The second thing I think is that Mag did really well to isolate Dandy. He caught Dandy with his hook shot, his cog, and Dandy ended up dying to the Sonic Wave, but it's not really about the fact that Dandy dies, it's about the fact that after the initiation, Navi's main damage source at the moment is Dandy. Zeus needs to be spamming those spells, and if Clockwork's cornered him on the side and he can't cast spells on anyone, all of a sudden Na'Vi looks really weak. Like, sure, they burst one hero down at the start, but, you know, where's the sustained damage output?
And Dandy's actually responding to this. He was going for a first item 4-staff, and he was quite close to it before the fight began, but unfortunately didn't have it. If he has that, it's a lot easier to play against the Clockwork. They still can look to burst him down with the Scream Sonic Wave following up the hook, but oh, hold on that second. Solo will get caught on the Chen. Quick and easy pick off for Na'Vi, but the 4-staffs are just going to be kind of the crucial item, it feels like, this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to see, because the ongoing conversation we've been having is about the Aether Lens and when you should buy it over the Force or the Glimmer Cape, and really happy to see that it's not like Dandy rushing an Aether Lens in this game, because honestly, yeah, they're gonna lose every fight where Clockwork controls Zeus, and just by the Force stuff, suddenly Clockwork can't single-handedly control you. It's vital in this game.
Yeah, and it feels like Aether Lens still is the core item that you want to get for Zeus, but very much it doesn't have to be the first item. If you need that cheap, costly utility item like a 4-staff, get it before the Aether Lens, because you're not going to get the benefits of an Aether Lens if you're going down at the start of every fight. And Sand King similarly also going for a 4-staff. We'll see Nico actually get a lot of farm this game. He's the most farmed Na'Vi hero somehow. He's been in, let's say 12 of their 11 kills. He's been in 10 of their 11 kills. Part of my math, it's early in the morning. And Nico, level freaking 11. That's a level 2 Sand King ultimate for these fights. He's just been on the receiving end of a lot of kills this game, and as a result has a ton of farm, which makes the BKB timing for Vega that much more important this game.
Yeah, he did spend quite a lot of time in the jungle early on. Like, he actually at level 5, he had level 3 in Sandstorm, so you could tell that there's a prioritization of, you know, him getting farm. But he's also been in all the kills, and it's have they seen Aximo's Blink Dagger? Have Vega spotted it anywhere? So I know they know about the Sand King, but
I don't believe they have. I mean, I guess you know Sand King has a blink, so whether Earthshaker does or doesn't, either way, you're going to be kind of playing careful around that fact, I would say. But it seems Vega may be still intent on going towards his bottom lane. The Rocket Flare is being used to scout, but a nice little smoke from the Sand King. And Nico, as well as the Shaker, both in position. Here's the Epicenter going in. There's going to be a blink. Echo Slam onto 2. The AoE's there. The Ice Blast catches 3. Na'Vi! Oh, they're back. They've taken out 1 kill. The Snowball forward blocks some of the damage. The Gyrocopter goes charging in, but it's charging into their own death. Na'Vi have secured themselves a team wipe. Dichirance and Nico surviving on a sliver of HP. The Queen of Pain Illusion Rune gets taken out. And what an initiation, and what an even better Ice Blast, making sure all those kills happen. That was the perfect time to use a smoke for Na'Vi, just to bypass the Rocket Flare scouting.
And this time the Ice Blast hits almost all the heroes. I think it was 3 or 4, and Chen did really well actually to heal before it connected, but his mech didn't come on time. The mech was like right after the Ice Blast, so it didn't really do anything, and that's the combo power that Na'Vi have. And if you can't see Sand King, if you can't see Earthshaker and you're Vega, you have to be scared of it, because the other heroes, their spells can come from anywhere. So they really just need to be, I think Vega, the only thing they need to be concerned about is where are Earthshaker and Sand King, but they need to be very concerned about that. And I don't think they make the same mistake again, because, I mean, if they were to lose another fight like that, their hopes in this game are like halved, I would say, because Spectre gets 1 or 2 more items, and suddenly it's just scary as hell for Vega, sorry.
And it's scary right now, I feel, because for them, this Gyro BKB is quite a long ways off, and the problem is, for Vega, they want a 5-man, and if they split up and try and farm, they'll get picked apart. Na'Vi has great pick-off potential with the Blink Initiators, the Zeus, the Spectre. As much as like the global strategy is great for team fighting, it's also great for finding pickoffs, and at the same time, if they're grouping as 5, Vega are not going to be able to easily farm up that Gyro BKB, so it seems the answer is to push around the ulti cooldowns. They know the Echo, the Epicenter on cooldown for a bit longer, so they're going to take a tier 1 tower and try and even go for this tier 2 tower. We'll see if this is going to be too greedy. They get some Observer wards up to see behind here, and it looks like this should be an okay fight for Vega to take, for the time being at least.
Mag looking, yeah, he's going in.
Yep, he's found the AA. Queen of Pain will get the Sonic Wave. Dendy's already used the 4-star here. He's going to look to turn this one around. The cooldown, Dendy, don't walk back into it. He gets out of it just barely. Shaker's managed to save his life. Dichira does not get the additional kill onto the Chen as the TP out comes, but now there's trouble. Burrowsec will cancel the Jarix TP, and suddenly that BKB dream I was talking about looking very faint. Oh, see, Tusk making a nice little play to get a solo kill onto Dendy before he goes down. That gets him a nice little chunk of gold, but the bigger worry is that was a triple kill for Dichira. This first item Diffusal definitely paying off here. I was going to kind of ask you about what your thoughts are on the Diffusal. It's definitely working out for Dichira, but interesting to see a deviation away from the standard Radiance build.
Yeah, it was interesting. I noticed earlier on when he started with like all these early items, he had the wand and the Ring of Aquila and the treads, and it looked to me like, okay, he wants to get active early on, and yet he didn't go for the urn, which is the conventional way that Spectres do get active early on, and that's what I think tips his hand that he might go for the Diffusal Blade. Because if you're going to save all the way to the Radiance, you probably get the urn. You don't go the urn because you're going to buy a cheaper, quicker like damage output item, and I think it's totally fine, to be honest. I think that this is, I mean, there was a stage in the history of Dota where this was kind of the go-to thing. If you don't think that you can wait till Radiance, if you think you need to do something now, Diffusal Blade's the item. And remember, Diffusal Blade's been buffed many times since the last time Spectre was buying it a lot, so it's definitely worth re-exploring.
What do you feel Vega need to do now? They are still lacking BKB on Gyrocopter. Like, can they group up? Can they take objectives? Do they need to solo farm? Oh, Blink, Fire Strike, Epicenter. They're going to get a kill onto the Clockwork to start things off, and Quap, perhaps slightly in panic or slightly just worried about what was nearby, which was a Shaker and Sand King. We'll use that 10-second BKB, I believe. So, to go back to the question, Vega are going to look for a pickup on Dendy now, and we'll find a cooldown Walrus Punch. Dendy 4-staff away. Can he survive this? No, siree. So they find a pickup. Is this the game plan? Do they go for pickups?
Well, it's difficult to actually guarantee that you get them, though, because Na'Vi could actually play around that. And I agree with what you said earlier about the fact that Vega are kind of stuck in the sense that if they split up, then they definitely get picked off by the global. If they group up, then they could walk into all the AoE. I think that the correct approach is basically Chen needs to be the one that's dealing with Na'Vi's team fight. And for that, they need to not all get hit by AA Ice Blast. It looked like in that fight at the bot lane that Mag was thinking that, okay, if I initiate on the Ancient Apparition, then we won't all get hit by Ice Blast, we're going to win the fight. I think they can't afford, unfortunately, for Mag to be the one doing it. I think they need Mag to be controlling Earthshaker, Sand King, or Zeus. And they need to just avoid getting hit by big Ice Blast, you know, of their own accord. And I think that's the major challenge. Probably they need to somehow win a fight. Like, sure, you can dance around, go for pickoffs, try and dodge pickoffs. That approach only lasts so long until there's a fight, and to win that fight, Chen has to be able to heal people, and for that, Ancient Apparitions also just can't be connecting with a lot of heroes.
Yeah. Well, right now it looks like they're just trying to scrap together the BKB for Gyrocopter. Just about 1,000 gold short, and Na'Vi are going to throw an Ice Blast at top. Sand King, is he winding up for this one? Doesn't look like it. Ice Blast off the mark, and Sand King also did not have Epicenter. This Sand King, by the way, top of the net worth chart.
Yeah, not just top of his team anymore, just top period. And that's pretty impressive by Seneko, I would say. Like, even if he's had farm time, even if he's been around a lot of kills.
Possibly winding up here. Rocket Flare to scout. Dendy. Whoa! Looking for the AA, it looked like, although Dendy does still have the 4-staff if he needed to use it on his teammate there, and not sure he had all the vision he needed. Off to the sides, it's Axmo, Radiant Observer. We'll see him, though. Do they go for this one? Ice Shards will cancel his blink. He's going to turn. Fissure looking probably just to defensively blink, and yeah, not a fight.
I honestly think if Mag had caught AA with that hook there, that might actually go really badly for Vega, the same way it did previously in a similar position, because the Sand King and Earthshaker were like around the edges, and it's just, I really don't think they can afford Clockwork to only be controlling Ancient Apparition.
Well, it looked like he was going to just go for Dendy there, but decided kind of the AA was maybe the more important kill to make sure Chen gets... I mean, so the Chen heals can be guaranteed by killing the AA, I guess, is kind of the reasoning behind that, do you feel?
Yeah, it's absolutely the reasoning. I just feel like the Clock's got more important work to do, and it's possible to deal with AA ulti without killing AA. You can just, position in a way that it's difficult to hit multiple heroes. And sure, if AA hits one person, that's still damaging to that person, but if everyone else is getting the double heal, I think that's actually a fight that Vega can win. I think that the healing is a very effective way of dealing with Navi's strategy outside of everyone tanking the Ice Blast.
As far as other items go, no signs of something like a pipe, I feel, which would also be a great item against it. Sioma did go for the Veil of Discord, giving someone magic resistance who he can find. See, initiation here is Sioma just poking around, being a bit annoying here. Saniko at top, level 16. That is a level 3 epicenter. He is by far the highest hero level in the game. That is a big stamp of approval from me on his Sand King play. And looking at Dichara, with the great start he's had and the game slowing down a little bit, and also Na'Vi just able to fight with his current items, he's able to save up for a Relic now, so he will go back for the Radiance after the Diffusal, and that is some good news for Na'Vi right now. Shot.
Oh, he gets hooked.
Dichara gonna get caught out here. They're trying to blow him up. He gets the horn out. Where did he go? He's down bottom on the gyrocopter. He barely gets killed, I want to say. He almost managed to get to the high ground there to survive. That was pretty nicely played from Dichara, but the burst damage was just too much, and that Observer Ward giving Vega the vision they needed. That's a big kill to get, and he hadn't bought the Relic yet, so they will slow him down.
I think it's a bit of a blunder by Na'Vi when they have, like, as we're describing, they have quite a lot of control of the game right now. They're threatening to punish being alone, threatening to punish being grouped up. The fact that there's so many Vega wards on the map, and especially a ward in Na'Vi's jungle, I don't think that, especially they have a Zeus. Like, I think it's sloppy of Na'Vi to allow Vega to have that kind of vision of them, and if they don't have that kind of vision, you're not going to see them going that deep to try and kill a Spectre.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I feel like Na'Vi, even in their current position, can be... Yes, they're farming up the Radiance on Spectre, and that's like 4k net worth that they're not fighting with, but it does feel like the sheer power of their ultimates allows them to at least make some aggressive plays. It feels like they've found so much success with Vega coming to them and playing to their team fight. Now that Vega backed off to farm like a Gyro BKB and stuff, they decided to sit back and farm themselves when they were the ones with I mean, not so much a net worth lead, but at least like an overall team fight advantage, it felt like.
So Aghanim Sept on Chen, actually an interesting interaction with that in the AA, because 30-second cooldown now, where AA ulti is 40-second cooldown. So that means that if you really keep forcing the aggression, it's possible to, like, assuming there's still people alive after AA ulti, that as soon as Chen's ulti is back up again, you've got that 10-second window.
Uh-oh. Blink, Fire Strike, Epicent with the Ice Blast, Zeus ultimate, no chance to BKB. Gyro gets taken down. That is one way to kill heroes with BKBs.
Yeah, and that's how you remind Vega that, hey, by the way, like, you guys have become complacent, but you can't be alone. Well, speaking of being alone, that's Aximo's death, definitely, as well.
It feels like he was trying to do the same thing Sand King was doing, which is just stay on the side of the map, wait for a hero to come to farm the lane, and go for these pickoffs using a Blink ultimate from either Sand King or Earthshaker, followed up by the Ice Blast and the global presence of a Spectre or a Thunder God's Wrath. So I don't mind his death as much as the Gyrocopters. I feel like he had a clear plan in mind for Gyro. It's like, okay, let's just farm alone, and it was very much just not respecting what Na'Vi were doing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and even though they killed Earthshaker there, I think Vega have to, like, they're going to catch on to the fact that when they're alone, Earthshaker or Sand King are trying to stalk people. They're staking out those side lanes, and anyone who pushes too far alone is just going to die. So it gets into Vega's head. Well, here's the Ice Blast.
Yep, well, Clockwork already in some trouble here, and Dendy going to get snowballed here. Does he look to turn and fight? He's got no ultimate for the time being. We'll cancel the TP of Sioma. Burrow Strike follows it up. Sioma still in some trouble here. Spectre comes back. He's got the Relic, and it looks like he may be able to find himself a second kill. He will double kill for Dichara. That'll gift him his Radiance. And suddenly Na'Vi back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and I mean, we usually talk about how Chen's heal can counteract Spectre's Radiance, but Chen's heals already had to do the job of counteracting all the other damage, so this is now an extra damage source, and I don't see that there's an extra healing source. As you said, they're not building into a pipe anywhere. I guess there is also a Glimmer Cape, but I don't see any like new defensive item coming up on any hero on Vega anytime soon, so even though the damage on Na'Vi is increasing, the survivability on Vega not really keeping up, I would say.
And Jaru's trying to just build tanky. He's gone straight into an ultimate ult after his BKB. Oh, that's gonna be a kill on Queen of Pain. Epicenter with the Zeus ultimate, the Ice Blast. Again, we see pickoffs on the heroes that have BKBs. Do you feel like Vega should have just gone like instantly into like smoke plays and team fights as soon as they got the double BKBs? Because they farmed the BKBs and now they've tried to farm, which has so far backfired with what the Blink Initiators can do. Pasha going to BKB TP away. Now he's just chewing away at his BKB timer right now.
I mean, it's very tough for them. I kind of do feel like they had to try and win fights, but it's tough because just before they got the BKBs, they kind of had lost some fights. They got blown up in that bottom fight, and so it's fresh in their minds that they could just lose if they charge into a fight. But I think even though it's difficult, like what I was saying earlier, like Clock needs to control one of the other three heroes. They need to somehow avoid the ALT as well. Those are difficult things to do, but for me, that's still the best way for Vega to approach this game.
I think the hardest thing is controlling heroes when there's 3 4-staffs on the map is something that Clockwork can get an initiation, but unless Queen of Pain commits with like a follow-up, a hero like an Earthshaker or a Sand is just going to easily 4-staff out of those initiations. So it just doesn't even feel like Vega have guaranteed kills unless they want to commit a Sonic Wave. And we do see no one going for an Accept, which I think he realizes like his Sonic Wave is the one way they just burst down heroes with the Clockwork, so he wants to have that shorter cooldown.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Do you think, speaking of Ags, do you think Seneko is about to buy an entire Ags for himself? He's got the gold for the whole thing, and I certainly would like to see Sanking Ags in action.
I'd love to see it. The Burrow Strike range is pretty fun. You still get the upgrade to the Epicenter, or is it just the Burrow Strike?
No, it's only the Burrow Strike. Okay. So it's, I mean, if you don't get value out of that long range, then it's actually very underwhelming, obviously.
He has Blink and 4-staff. I don't feel it's essential. Obviously, you can be Burrow Striking more heroes because of the range. It just travels through more units, but I don't think it's a core item. I think he could theoretically get more value from other items like a Shiver's Guard or even like a AC type item, but there's a lot of kind of merit to the Acceptor as well. So I don't think it's like Accept is the best item here. I think there's kind of different ways he can play it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, he could even go for a Hex, to be honest. Just another way to deal with the BKB heroes.
Yep. He's being the most farm. Do you go into that carry Sanking build? I don't know what the carry Sanking build is, but I've seen it done in the past, but perhaps too many utility items to kind of justify that at the time being. Dendi is building a Veil, so they're going to look for some magic damage amplification. He's gone full utility. He's picked up 3 small items and he's getting a 4th small item, so I mean, for him, Deech around mid lane, he's been caught out here. Will he get any spells? I don't think he's going to get haunt. He has no buyback, luckily. There's the Epicenter Burrow Strike from Seneko. He's in the middle of things here. Queen of Pain gets one more Scream off. Na'Vi kill the Spectre, or get their Spectre killed, get 2 kills and return onto Vega. The chase possibly is on, though. 1 Lightning Bolt from Dendi. He's going to be careful. He's going to chase it alone, but a nice 2-hero Burrow Strike. Seneko helping his team out, but he's maybe overcommitted. Blink, Echo from Axmo. He gets the Fissure as well onto a couple. Seneko very low. Blink Scream will take him down. That's 900 gold going to the Queen of Pain, and Na'Vi, without Spectre, cannot take this fight. If they just had a Spectre buyback there, I imagine that going horribly for Vega, but they burst down Spectre before a Horn could be used and turn the fight into a 5v4.
Yeah, so what Na'Vi needs to learn from that fight, from that whole scenario, is that they don't have the healing power that Vega have, so yes, they got 4 stars, but if Spectre gets caught by the burst damage, he's gonna die. Like, he's not that tanky. That's basically the only serious risk for Na'Vi at the moment. Spectre getting burst down. At the same time, Vega, I think, needs to... I mean, you're saying it's hard for Clockwork to control hero because all the 4 stars. I think that at very least, Mag should try and make it his job to stop Seneko from getting a nice Blink initiation. Because time and time again, we see a really nice Epicenter double stun coming in, and even if you can't actually control, like, keep the Sanking in place, you can at least disable his Blink tag, and that's something that I think Vega needs to be doing a bit better as the game progresses.
Well, there's, I guess, 2 big threats with the Earthshaker and Sanking, but for now it is the Sanking the big one. What's he actually bought? He spent some money. It will be a Hex, like you mentioned, as some more control to deal with the BKBs on the side of Vega. Give them some more potential to jump on in. No one's now picked up a plate mail for himself, so we'll see either the AC build up or the shivers for him. I feel more likely the AC. Don't think they need the shivers to deal with, like, there's not that much physical damage right click. The AC kind of amplifies up their own physical damage.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. And did we mention that the Chen is actually going back for pipe now and very close to it as well?
I saw the hood pick up, and I haven't mentioned it yet. So a pipe makes a big difference against this draft, even if it does come at this stage of the game. It feels like a core item for them. And Vega's doing everything right as far as itemization. It feels like right now.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and like that's what I was saying. Like, there's a risk of Na'Vi getting more damage in Vega, like not being able to get more survivability items. But pipe is the one they needed. It's the one they're getting, and yeah, I agree that they're doing the right things in terms of itemizing, but I do think it's all about the Sand King. Like, I mean, it's not that surprising. He's right at the top of the net worth, but in the team fights, I think they can't be giving him like double impales, double bar strikes all the time. They can't be giving him good ultis. And in terms of the pickoffs with this Hex, I feel like now if you're alone on the map as Vega, probably any hero, if Sand King catches them and chains the stun and the Hex, that's pretty.
Hex in mid. Speaking of the Hex, it's gonna be a catch on Quap, and they throw out the ultimates to make sure they secure. They don't even need the Ice Blast. Spectre's still got the Haunt going. Blink Echo on 2! Axpo's found the catch, and a BKB from Gyrocopter will elude the epicenter damage. Instead, Sand King finds kills onto the side. Perhaps he's gone into Sandstorm, catches out 2, but now in some trouble as they dust him up. He self-uses, and another Burrow Strike could come in and catch a couple. He's in a perfect position. The Totem on 2, they're trapped. It's the choke point. They get the Richard Lewis treatment, and 2 more go down. Vega only survive with the Gyrocopter BKB TP out. Na'Vi lose Spectre though, but I think it's a worthwhile trade for them.
Yeah, and this time Spectre dies, but it's in the middle of the fight. It's not right at the beginning of the fight. That's fine. Like, we saw that Vega actually managed to get a positive trade in a fight where they burst down Spectre at the start, and then it's probably got into their head that, you know, that's the route to win a fight potentially. Spectre goes down without having that much of an impact. All of a sudden, then we can sustain through the rest of the heroes. But if you start focusing the Spectre when you're already like one and a half, maybe even 2 heroes down, it's at that point Spectre's like, fine, I'll go down and I'll take you with me.
And I feel like as much as Vega itemizing right, they're getting tankier, and for Na'Vi they don't have those like great kind of defensive heals to protect Spectre. Once Spectre gets harder to Rask, this game gets very difficult for Vega, because I don't feel like their damage output is going to increase by that much anytime soon. The way Gyrocopter's built is purely defensive, so getting the damage to kill a Spectre with a heart gets very tricky. You throw like a Mantis Cell on top of that, it gets impossible.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that Vegas got it on a timer. I mean, I think that to a large extent they've been on a timer for most of the game, ever since Na'Vi won that first big fight at the bot lane. And in that respect, in the context of, you know, the inevitability is kind of on Na'Vi's side, I think Vega have done a good job here and there, take a good fight, buy the right items. But the timer remains what it is, and Sineko gets another catch at the top lane.
It's the Gyro, and the ulti's just coming in. That global presence, it's also bottom lane with Spectre looking for the Clockwork. The Blade Mail returning some of this damage. The Shaker blinks in, has a Fisher to make sure Spectre doesn't get in too much trouble, and they'll get Spectre out of there, so an item pickup.
There's something really great. There's something really great to me about the fact that there's a support hero who's got the highest net worth, 36 minutes into the game. He also has the most kills. Because usually, like, if you look at those kind of like superficial statistics, they don't tell you the full story, and here they kind of do. Like, this has been the Sineko show. This has been all about the Sand King. He's been making plays left, right, and center before he goes Hex, after he got his Hex, and I love it. I actually really like the stats of the game. For whatever reason, they've managed to work out in a way that they properly represent who's the most important player so far in this game.
Sineko, he's definitely singing that kind of MVP shoes. But I mean, overall, like, the Na'Vi draft has just completely come together with the global treatment. I mean, it's something not entirely new. It's been done time and time again, but it feels like Na'Vi are really executing it to perfection. Like, they have 3 heroes sitting back. The Sand King and the Earthshaker are just going off for the pickoffs, and they've got this formula which Vega just don't have an answer to.
Yeah, they do. And Vega, honestly, I just think would have wanted to have like a slightly more successful, very early game. We spoke at the start about Queen of Pain versus Zeus, and we didn't actually see Queen of Pain getting a big advantage against the Zeus. The only advantages in that lane came from like when either side was really ganking into the lane. Vega got something of a small lead, I want to say early on, but it never really reached, what, did it reach the 5K mark? Not even that, and as soon as they lost one team fight, they were just like winded.
Yeah, this is the biggest net worth leap we've seen all game long right now, and it comes off the couple of big pickoffs on Gyrocopter as well as Clockwork at the bottom lane. Perhaps not quite as big a pickoff, but for Vega's side of things, they've kept up the farm. They haven't completely fallen off. Bottom lane, Axmo perhaps looking for the tusk, but he's got backup here, and Axmo's trying to be doing the same thing that Sneako's been doing, but he's just found a lot less success at the bottom lane. It's been Sneako up top, Axmo down bottom, and I think just by the nature of the way the map pans out, Vega are committing 3 to 4 heroes bottom, and it's normally just one hero like the Quap or the Gyro farming top.
Pasha.
So, oh wow, nope, this time around not successful.
Yeah, it was actually, he actually ran into Sneako, and Sneako was like, "No, I'm not going for you. I've seen your allies nearby recently."
Heart almost complete for Spectre. He gets the Reaver now, so does feel like impending doom for Vega Squadron if they're not careful.
Yeah, one of the really tricky things for Vega Squadron is that Gyrocopter said his BKB would be big. It is big, right? When he's in BKB, there's really nothing that could touch him much on the Na'Vi side. But in this game, the way things looked when he finished his BKB, he felt forced to go for the Skadi next, so he doesn't really have the damage. Like, he's now building into it, he's got that Demon Edge, but if he had more damage, they could maybe punish Na'Vi for the fact that they don't have much healing, they don't have that much saving other than the 4-staffs, but it's that kind of catch-22 where if you're the Gyrocopter, like,
Oh, Blink Echo mid. They've called out 2 here, the Fissure as well. Their Sneako even falls up with an FPC. He's got the Hex onto the Tusk. It's 3 dead. Tusk down. Gyro trying to TP out. The BKB is going to wear off and they'll get the cancel. Oh no, in comes Queen of Pain with a BKB Sonic Wave Scream, but Na'Vi still alive, still healthy. Queen of Pain's even bought back for this one. And it looks like no one going to be on the run here. He's being chased down. The Yule Scepter's there. There's a Burrow Strike soon. They'll get that. They'll get the Totem. They'll get the Queen of Pain. It's a dieback at Na'Vi. They're looking so good right now. They've pulled ahead 38 kills to 23. 39 minutes in. They're averaging almost a kill a minute right now. And it's just been impressive play all around for them. Shaker even looking to style on Vega's picked up a Dagon now. Well, Spectre, Heart of Tarrasque, Scant. Is this hopeless for Vega now, do you feel?
I mean, they have to somehow... Yeah, I don't know. Gyrocopter needs to get an item or two, because if you look during the previous fights, as I was saying before, like, during the BKB of Gyrocopter at Queen of Pain, actually, Na'Vi kind of stall out. It's like they have to just wait out the BKB. Nothing they can do until it runs out. Queen of Pain at one point was standing in BKB and 4 Na'Vi heroes, and they were just like kind of like looking at her saying, okay, fine, we'll wait. So Gyrocopter needs to find those damage items, at which point, you know, maybe the BKB time can be useful. But before those damage items are up, Hex on Clockwork.
Oh, they'll get the blink back on the snowball, and that's a Fissure on multiple heroes, a Burrow Strike on multiple heroes. Here goes Dandy. The damage is too much for these heroes to deal with. It feels like the Sensual Bull detects Sneako. Hookshot onto 2. It's going to be a defensive Yules, it looks like, onto Sand King. He does not get a Burrow Strike out. He goes down. That's a big loss for Na'Vi. I believe it was their top farmed hero, although now Spectre takes that spot, and Na'Vi don't get anything out of that one, it looks like. Axmo's still trying to set up on this top lane, but no one's coming in. And by no one, I actually mean no one, not the player.
Nobody is coming in. Zeus, actually, by the way, we were talking earlier about how he bought all the utility items, he wasn't the top farmer, he was actually really far behind the Spectre and the Sand King, but the last couple of fights caught up a lot, and Dandy has an entire Refresh Orb, which he's already used once, and I think that's pretty scary because it's yet another source of damage. And, you know, we spoke about the dynamic of getting more damage versus them getting more healing, and I sort of feel like Vega are just about maxed out in terms of defensive capabilities. They're at the point where they have to...
Here comes an Ice Blast. They want to contest Roshan, and this is so bad. The Blink Echo not really as on point as they would have liked to. He immediately 4-staffs out. Roshan's still low. Vega just could not kill it fast enough, and Na'Vi swarming in. Dichara getting low himself here. Has a dagger in 2 seconds, but he's trapped in the middle of Vega, and Vega... They get one, they're looking for a second. It's going to be Axmo gets 4-staff out of the cogs here. Dandy just doing so much damage from the backlines here. Needs to get past the cogs, can't really do so. And Roshan secured. Gyro picks it up. Vega going to salvage things at the Roshan pit. It looked bad with Na'Vi swooping in. The Ice Blast catching a number of heroes, but they just didn't get the Echo Slam they were looking for. It hit Roshan, but it didn't hit much else.
Yeah, they didn't have Sneako in that fight, right? Which is the major issue, because he's been the kind of serious playmaker. He's the one who's got the Hex, so he can stop people getting BKBs off. And I feel like maybe Na'Vi could have contested even without him, but they needed to be more careful about it. They were kind of thinking, the enemy teams at Rush, we've got this really nice, like, global AoE combo, surely we can just stop them. And then they just kind of went in guns a-blazing.
Yep.
It wasn't really coordinated of all of them at the same time.
And just Dieter, I think, slightly overcommitting, despite having the heart of Taraski. He's full committing into a fight, and Vega eventually bring him down. They do such a good job zoning some of the Na'Vi backlines, like the Cogs, the Ice Shards. It means when Dieter commits to a fight, potentially he has no backup if the Clockwork and the Tusk play the fights right, and that's exactly what happened around the pit. There's all these like little small choke points which you can just block off.
Top lane.
Oh no.
That's the Aegis gone.
Not again. Not going to actually use the Hex. Okay. Looks like not quite enough damage coming out for the kill there. There's a 5-second B. I think it was already a 5-second BKB, so either way, the BKB usage doesn't really matter for Vega.
I think if they use the Hex plus the Zeus ulti there, they probably do get the Aegis.
Yep.
So interesting that they decided not to. Maybe wanted to save. Maybe Dandy wanted to save his ulti till Ditchara's alive. Otherwise, there's the chance of Vega capitalizing on that window where there's no Thunder God's Wrath. Also, just his refresh orb, right? He wants to use two ultis together.
So now they'll back off here, perhaps feeling confident they can play a bit more of a slow-paced farming game with the lead they've got, but Gyro will put together items. He's still just sitting on the Demon Edge. Remains to be seen if it's going to be a MKB or a perhaps Desperation Rapier. If things take a turn for the bad, perhaps that's where you see something like the Rapier, but for now, with Tier 2 towers still standing, I think an MKB perhaps more likely.
When last did you look at Aximo's items?
I've seen the Dagon, yeah. He's having a bit of fun here.
Dagon 2, Shadow Blade, just like...
Oh, catches AA, Shaker in position, gets the fishes, he's go for the blink, it doesn't look like it, his blink's actually been cancelled, and Quap blinking in with a BKB. Won't find too much out of it, but at this stage, it feels like Vega just happy to throw their BKBs for a solo pick-off, knowing that they can just back off, and the BKB's already down to 5 seconds, so... Gyro's still holding on to Aegis. BKB himself has about 2.5, 3 minutes on this one. I mean, this game is not lost for Vega. Navi's been finding kills, but the fights have not been going so well for them. Spectre this time...
Vega actually in a pretty strong... I think they're in a pretty strong position right now, actually. Especially while the A is dead. They still don't want to push it, but with the heals up while the A is dead, and... Clockwork, I think, especially since he got his Aghanim Scepter.
They've gone in on the Quap, and it looks like they'll get the Quap, the Zeus ultimate. Enough to help secure the kill. Clockwork now on the run. Spectre, Horn Illusion still doing a lot of damage to get the cancel onto the Chen. Clockwork going for a TP himself. Can Saniko find him with the Zeus ultimate? I believe so. Burst like half a second. A millisecond too late it felt like. And Na'Vi get just 2 kills. Use pretty much most of their ultis. Echo Slam, Haunt, double Zeus ulti. They still have the Epicenter Ice Blast, but ultimately for them it's kills going their way.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it's not quite smooth a retreat from Vega there, because they had the sense maybe they can pressure, then they're like, let's actually play it safe, and when they pull out, they don't pull out together, they don't pull out that quickly, get caught on their way out, and it's a bit of a disaster for them actually. So both teams in this game have from time to time, I think, been punished for the occasional like slip up of laziness or sloppiness.
See if there's more where that came from. It feels like Vega may need a slip-up or two from Na'Vi to kind of help get them back in this game. Dieter perhaps caught out here, has a dagger soon, Epicenter being channeled. Looks like Saniko feels like he's got to go in to help out the dagger out, and Clockwork going to pay for this one with his life. He dies to the Saniko Sand King, who was just in the right place at the right time. Saniko's not done, he's chasing from all, gets the Yule Scepter off, sets up onto the Tusk, who can't get that Glimmer Cape off. He'd love to get the magic resistance, but the Chain Stun from Na'Vi proving to be too much to deal with, and Na'Vi finding pickoffs while other Vega heroes are dead. The Chen and the Quap means there's just no way for Vega to try and fight that one.
Yeah, Oddstar actually, I think, getting himself picked off in the previous fight, where I thought Vega might actually try and get something out of it. He has a pretty easy job to do here, and it is something I think worth pointing out. Like, he shouldn't be getting picked off. I wanted to say Clockwork because he has Aghanim Scepter, can now afford to maybe go for the Ancient Apparition and then still have another hook, but... I mean, Oddstar's job is basically just stand far back.
Hex, Burrow Strike, there's the Echo Slam. They want the Quap. One heal comes off before, but Quap without buyback has now been taken out of the picture. And I think Na'Vi know that that's a big pick-off for them to get. And the Gyrocopter's Aegis has been timed out. At this point, Gyro has money for a Rapier. Is he going for it? I believe that's the case. Yes, he has. Rapier en route on the Courier, making sure the Courier does not get taken out. He's committed, as the Aegis expires as well, but he's saying we need it and we need it bad. But we've seen what Na'Vi can do as far as bursting down heroes before they BKB. It's going to be so hard to keep this Gyrocopter alive.
Yeah, at the same time, if he does stay alive for like a full set of flak shots, it's scary for Navi. Like they should hopefully be aware that they don't have that healing power, they don't have that keep one another alive power other than their force staff. So I agree with you. It shouldn't be that difficult for them to deal with the gyro. But if they let the gyro get a lot of hits off in a fight, it's like maybe this is the chance that Vega have. I actually support Vega's player to go for Rapier. I think that this is like what the game's come to.
It's what's your chance of winning the game if you go for an MKB? And I'd say it doesn't really increase. The chance of winning the game with a Rapier, I feel like, it does increase by a little bit, even if you may just lose the game right away should Gyro get caught. You go for the MKB, Gyro gets caught with a buyback. Okay, game's still not over. Even if he doesn't have a buyback, like Vega's losing Quap time and time again. It doesn't end the game, but this Rapier could lose, like, could be the game over, but an MKB is... There's no win condition with an MKB, it feels like.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like, with an MKB, it would be like, let's hope we get lucky, then I'll get another item. Like, the MKB on its own just wouldn't be enough. Whereas Rapier is maybe the one damage item that on its own could counteract the fact that he's got no other damage items. Like, all of his other items are just for survivability, really.
I love how, I mean, you talk about the Sanking, how farmed he is. Look at this solo Chen, 15k plus net worth, the second most farmed here in the game. He's actually done an amazing job. Something we haven't talked about is his ancient creeps, his creeps in general, have always been split pushing the side lanes, forcing Na'Vi back, making it a lot trickier for Na'Vi to group up and go for a push because of it.
Well, he has that smoke play, and this feels like the play, and Refresh Orb comes up just before that on Seneko.
Well, it's good for Na'Vi, they've got the Refresh Orb, but also bad if they catch Seneko, he's got no buyback. That could be a huge kill for Vega to get. The Chen going to show himself in the mid lane. It looks like he's trying to bait, and Dicha Ra running into them. Has buyback, but he's going to get snowballed, hookshotted. Can they burst him down? They BKB the Burrow Strike onto 4, Seneko! He's going to go for the refresh play. Another Burrow Strike onto 4, the Echo Slam from Expo! Are you freaking kidding me? Na'Vi! I don't know if they're back, but okay. Seneko, he's back.
He just, I mean, so that's what, 2.17 seconds, so 4.34. That, like, on his own, he like, Sand King just black holed the enemy team, essentially. That's impressive, I think.
That was just fucking incredible, man. I have never seen a Sand King performance like this. This is something to aspire to, not just for Sand King players, but for support players out there. Seneko, just a hell of a showing, and it's not like he just put the team on his back. I feel like Na'Vi as a whole, it was a really good strategy. The entire team executed, played it well. Like, Dendi has a bit of a slow start, but very much it's a matchup thing. He's playing against the Quap mid, the Chen's roaming him. Na'Vi understood that that's not going to cost them the game. Dendi's just inevitably going to die a few times, and everything just came together so well in the mid game for Na'Vi.
Yeah, look, the draft was good. The team